Good afternoon, students. Hope all of you are safe and well along with your families. With the lockdown being further extended, I am sure you must all be following the guidelines of staying indoors. Each one of you, each one of you, along with your family members, are extremely important to the whole of Linga's family. So, stay safe and stay healthy. Lockdown being further extended to another 21 days. So we'll be starting with online digital classes for your convenience, wherein you can study from the video the concept given and can raise the questions therefore. So today we'll be starting with a new concept known as Porter's five forces of competitive analysis in the marketing management. The layout of this session would be, first of all, we'll be taking care of the introduction part. Next would be Potter's five forces chart. Potter's five forces, its evaluation, importance of Potter's five forces, how do we use these tools, navigating, how the channel goes about the model development before, during, and after. Last but not the least, what are the shortcomings, drawbacks, or the limitations of Potter's five forces of competitive analysis. Moving forward, Potter's five forces. The five forces model was developed by Michelle E. Potter to help companies assess the nature of an industry's competitiveness and to develop corporate strategies accordingly. Michelle E. Potter was born on May 23rd in the year 1947. He is an American academic known for his theories on economics, business strategy, and social causes. He is the Bishop William Lawrence University professor at Harvard Business School, and he was one of the founders of the consulting firm the Monitor Group, which now is a part of the Deloitte Company. He is played an instrumental role in various aspects such as social strategy being which is the need of the hour. He did his PhD from Harvard University. Potter once said in an interview that he first became interested in competition through sports. He was a NCAA championship golf squad at Princeton and also played football, basketball, and baseball growing up. So, through that, the level of competition, the uses of strategy came into picture, which he has used in the Potter's five forces model. Now, there are five parameters for five forces model. You can have a look on the left hand side. That is the competition, new entrants, buyers, suppliers, and the substitute. The strength of these five forces will determine the level of profit within an industry that a competitor can expect. Through this model, Porter classified five main competitive forces that affect any market and all the industries. It is these forces that determine how much competition will exist in the market and consequently how about the profitability and attractiveness of this market for a company. Through sound corporate strategies, a company will aim to shape these forces to its advantage to strengthen the organization's position into the organization overall. A framework for analyzing the nature of competition within an industry. Talking about the introduction phase, this model aimed to provide a new way to use effective strategy, how, what, when, where, by whom a strategy is to be identified, how it is to be analyzed, and further managed external factors in an organization's environment. Now, what do we mean by the term external factors, which has been highlighted here? External factors are those factors which are not in an control of the organization, which is beyond the control of the boundary of the organization. Here, the concept of pestle analysis comes into picture. Pestle, Pestel, for political. Political includes the political factors, that is, the taxation policies, labor law, trade, political stability, and the government policy. E stands for economic. Economic aims at economic growth of the country, exchange rate, inflation, unemployment, and disposable income. S stands for social. Social factors include the population, growth rate, lifestyle, attitude, and culture. T. T for technological. Like we all know, technological factors. We all wait every year during the month of September for the launch of an iPhone. Why do we wait? Some strata of the society actually eagerly wait for a new iPhone, though it is exorbitantly high in rate. Because we all know the mere fact of Apple, which the company is known for, that is continuous research and development and innovation, which is a part of technological factor, the level of innovation, automation, technological awareness, and technological incentives. Further, E stands for environmental. What is going on outside your organization? That is the weather, climate, and environmental factors, other environmental political factors. Last but not the least, it is the legal. Legal means law, and order. Legal includes employment laws, copyright, patent right, like your ISI mark, hallmark, which nobody can copy. You have a patent for that. Health and safety laws. Last but not the least, consumer protection laws. So pest analysis is actually a part of external factor. Now, Potter's five forces model is an analysis tool that uses five industry forces to determine two factors. Number one, intensity of competition. What is the level of the competition of the different players into the same industry? And its profitability level. How much profitable the industry is? What is the future scope? Is it better to survive into the same industry or to make an exit from the same? An attractive market is the one that does not mean that all companies will enjoy similar success level. Rather, how about the unique selling proposition? What is the USP? What is the competitive advantage? Why am I here in the industry? What is my extra point wherein which makes me different amongst its competitors? What strategy and what processes will put one company over the other? So five forces model conclusions on the reasons for different level of competition. Number one, profitability in different industries. They are empirically derived by observation of real company and real factors rather than the result of economic analysis. So best part about Potter's five forces model is that it is being based upon the real companies in the real market, not a hypothetical situation. Moving forward, Potter's five forces model are the number one is a competitive rivalry within an industry. Center one, how many rivalry industries are there? Bargaining powers of suppliers. There are a lot many suppliers. Whom to choose? Which one is the best supplier? Different suppliers have got different rates. Threat of the new entrants. Obviously, there is a free entry and exit into the market. So anyone can enter and anybody can go out. Next would be bargaining power of customers. There are different customers. Anybody, every customer, every buyer has got a different choice from which particular store or from which particular market you want to buy from. Trade of substitutes. There are not many substitutes which are coming up into the market. So these are the Potter's five forces model. This is how it looks like. We'll be coming to each one of them, like threat of new entrants, talking about the first parameter. Threat of new entrants means the market is full of competition. Not only the existing firms possess threat to the business, but the arrival of new entrants is also a challenge. There are different parameters like time and cost of entry, economies of scale, cost advantage, technological protection, and the barriers to entry. As per the ideal scenario, the market is always open for entry and exit. resulting in comparable profits to all the firms. But rivalry inside the industry is also most important. For most industries, the intensity of competitive rivalry is the major determinant of the competitiveness of the industry. The factors which include the rivalry can be the sustainable competitive advantage through innovation. What sort of competitive advantage do you use? What sort of innovation are you looking forward? Competition between online and offline companies. What you are providing and what other competitors are providing. Level of advertising expense. Powerful competitive strategy. Firm concentration ratio. Degree of transparency. Exit barriers. Industry growth can be slow or negative. Products are not differentiated and can be easily substituted for one another. Competitors are of equal size. They are different competitors. Obviously, the market is the same. So, more or less, you will find the competitors are of equal size. Last but not the least, low customer loyalty. Customers are not much loyal. Moving forward, here is an example of competitive rivalry within an industry. Now I give you 30 seconds, students. Kindly have a look at the example and come up with more number of examples as mentioned in the assignment. Time starts now. So here competitive rivalry within an industry, you can have a look. The example of McDonald's is being shared. McDonald's faces tough competition because the fast food restaurant market is already flooded, is already saturated. There are different number of players such as McDonald's, KFC, local fast food restaurants, and roadside stops, the vada pav shops. So in this case, the element of five forces of McDonald's shows that competition is among the most significant external forces on the business. So competition is gluttony. Next comes the bargaining power of suppliers. Since the company needs raw material, every company needs raw material to survive. For producing, therefore, the producers have to build a relationship with its suppliers. When suppliers have the power in their hands, they can exert influence on the producing items by selling them raw materials at a higher price. Obviously, if the suppliers are very less and buyers don't have a choice, definitely they will go to a supplier whichever is readily available. Now, these days, what company is doing is they are getting the raw materials from different suppliers at a fixed rate, whatever is mentioned in the catalog. So, strong bargaining power allows suppliers to sell higher priced or low quality raw material to the buyers. This directly affects the buying firm's profits because it has to pay more of materials. Suppliers have strong bargaining power when there are few suppliers but many buyers. There are few suppliers. Obviously, buyers are in need of suppliers. So suppliers are few. That means monopoly situation will come into picture. Suppliers may charge a higher price which buyers have to actually agree upon. Suppliers are large and threaten to forward integrate. Few substitutes are available for the raw material that are existing. Suppliers hold scarce resources. Resources need to be used students in the most effective and the efficient manner in the most judicious way so that the future generations can also use the same resource to run the show. Cost of switching raw materials is especially high. Whenever you switch on the cost from A to B, the cost would definitely be high. So have a look at the example of how a supplier can influence the competitiveness of an industry. The example of Toyota supplier is quite weak. Toyota, which is an automobile industry, has its many suppliers in the automotive manufacturing sector. Resources which are required are cooling system, leather, plastic, computer, raw material, electrical system, braking system, and fuel supply system. These are all brought from hundreds of different suppliers, and different bargaining prices are distributed across the globe. But here, one of the USP competitive advantage of Toyota is its strong relationship with the suppliers and its efficient manner of monitoring the supply chain. What is supply chain? Supply chain refers to the inbound and the inbound logistics and the outbound logistics. For example, what are the factors that are required to produce a product in case of supply chain? As we discussed in the class earlier also, if you remember the fishbone diagram. Fishbone diagram consists of the internal factors and the external factors. For example, firm, infrastructure, human resource, raw materials. These are the factors which are required. They become a part of the inbound logistics. Then the operations part come. Operations is the one which converts your raw materials into a finished goods. Once the finished goods are ready, they have been packaged. They have gone to the packaging and the distribution phase. Once packaging and distribution labeling is done, goods are distributed to the respective customer, and then after sale service comes into picture. What do you mean by after sale service? For example, you buy a AC. For the next 1 year, free warranty and guarantee you get. That is, once the good is being sold and the amount is being collected, after that also for 1 year, you get a guarantee for the same product. This is known as supply chain. So, efficient these Toyota organization automobile industry helps in monitoring the supply chain places, low bargaining power of the suppliers. Apart from that, most vehicle manufacturers own many interchangeable suppliers, also have the ability to produce the components by their own in the short time. Thus, suppliers do not have the power to change the price. Whatever is being fixed is being decided. Moving forward, bargaining power of the buyer. Now think about across the table. Buyer, that means you and I. You are the customer, I am the customer. Anybody can be a customer, anybody can be a consumer. So, bargaining power of buyers has an important effect on the manufacturing industry. When there are many producers, think about the situation, and there's a single customer in the market, then that situation is called as monopsony. In these markets, the position of the buyer is very strong and he sets the price. Obviously, there's one buyer, so he is the one who is setting the price. In reality, only a few monopsony markets exist. The bargaining power of the buyer compels the firms to reduce the prices and may also demand a product or a service of higher quality at a low price. So, in this case, customers have the power to demand lower price or high product quality from the industry producers when their bargaining power is quite strong. Lower price means lower revenues for the producer, while higher quality products usually raise production cost. So, in the both the scenarios, result would be low profit for the producers. Customers exert strong bargaining power when buying in large quantities or control may access points to the final customer. Few customers are available into the market. Switching cost from A to B is quite low. They threaten to backward integrate. There are many substitute goods available and products are price sensitive. This whole is under the bargaining power of buyers. For example, you are a buyer, I am a buyer. I want to buy a Coca-Cola. So it depends upon me whether I want to buy a supermarket, convenience stores, soda shop, vending machine, restaurant. No matter what, the same Coca-Cola would be available at each and every store. But then price 1 rupee, 2 rupee may vary. So it depends upon the buyer, it depends upon the customer from which particular shop do I want to purchase. So bargaining power of buyer is high for fountain supermarkets and mass merchandising because of the low profitability and strong negotiation power of retail channels, but for vending machine bargaining power is non-existent caused by high profitability. This whole goes in bargaining power of buyer. Moving forward is the threat of new entrants. What do you mean by the term the threat of new entrants? Threat of new entrants means since we are living in a perfect competitive market, which means there is no restriction on the entry and on the exit parameter. So anybody can enter the market and anyone can leave out of the market. Now, students, leave this aside. Tell me one thing, why would a company enter the market scenario and why would they leave a particular market scenario. Just give a small thought to it. क्यों करती हैं companies ऐसा? When it's their wish, no? Obviously, a company would like to enter into the market when they see their high profit margin, there is a future scope, cost of production is also there, but then they find that they are on a safe zone, profitability is there. When a company leaves the market scenario, they would be leaving only when their profits would be going negative. That means they would be in a stage of negativity, that is, they would be in a stage of losses. They would enter into debts in the future long run. So, threat of new entrants. This force determines how easy or not it is to enter a particular industry. In some of the cases, there is free entry and exit, but in other cases, there are legal laws, rules, and regulations which needs to be processed, which needs to be filed, and then only you can enter. If an industry is profitable, as discussed, and there are few barriers to enter, rivalry soon intensifies, it increases. When more organizations compete, fight for the same market share, profits start to fall. Obviously, profits will fall because share in people, share in organizations would be high. It is essential for existing organizations to create high barriers to enter to deter new entrants. Threat of new entrants is high when क्यों high होता है? Number one, low amount of capital is required to enter a market. Obviously, when the market is already sustaining, is already surviving, you require less amount of capital because everything is ready on the platter. Existing companies can do a little to retaliate. Existing firms do not possess patent. Existing firms, there is no mandatory requirement for the patent, trademark, ISI mark, or a brand reputation. There is no government regulation. There is low customer loyalty. Products are nearly identical. They are so similar that even the buyers and the sellers often get confused with the same product. There are definitely first copy products are available for every product. Economies of scale can be easily achieved over here. In case of Reliance Jio, if we talk about a very cutthroat competition, this company game, uh, here what happened was actually the industry, telecommunication industry was actually flourishing with these players in the market, Airtel, Idea, Vodafone. Suddenly a Jio came up. Existing market was already there, a new competitive rivalry came. So Jio gave a threat of new entrants to the existing players. What Jio did was, as a growing at a scorching pace, it started growing by offering different variables, different factors. That is the USP. Has a set fierce mobile tariff war hurting the balance sheet of other telecom companies? Balance sheet means profits and losses are being hampered. Jio is forcing other players to join forces, and Jio could also impact the context, online context market in India. Here is the example shown. Now, threat of substitutes. The substitutes can be defined as the products of other industries that have the ability to satisfy the similar needs. Example, coffee can be a substitute for tea, right? If I want to have coffee, I can have tea also, as it can be used as a caffeine drink in the morning. When price of a substitute product changes, the demand of a related product also gets affected. When the number of substitute product increases, the competition also increases as the customers have more alternatives to select from. This forces the companies to raise or lower down the prices. Hence, it can be concluded that the competition created by the substitute firms is price competition. So, substitute goods are those which can be used as an alternative to one another. This force is especially threatening when buyers can easily find substitute products with attractive prices or better quality. Obviously, being a rational customer, if I find another product of the same nature, same kind, I'll definitely jump from A to B. And when buyers can switch from one product or service to another with little cost. For example, to switch from coffee to tea doesn't cost anything, hardly makes a difference, unlike switching it from car to a bicycle. Now, talking about the factors that actually actually affect the threat of the substitutes available. The first parameter is the consumer switching cost is low. Whenever a consumer switch cost from A to B in case of substitute goods, it's nets to a negligible amount because more or less they are similar in nature. Second, if the substitute product is cheaper than the industry's product, obviously, when would I substitute? Being a rational customer, when would you substitute? Whenever I find that another product that is a substitute product is cheaper, the cost is relatively less to the already existing industry's product, then only I'll switch over. Ultimately, I have to see the profit margin, number one, and the quality associated to that particular product. Third, if the substitute product is of equal or superior quality, maybe I find a better product. If I'm paying the same money, I'm getting a better product. Then only I'll switch over to the industry's product. The threat of substitute is quite high. Last but not the least, when if the functions, attributes, or the performance of the substitute products are equal, more or less I find whatever I'm getting, whatever the USP of A product is, and to that of the substitute product, it's more or less same, equivalent, more, high, low. Then only I'll think of switching over from A to B and B to C product. So this is known as threat of substitute products. For example, in case of airline industry, you can have a look. There are different airline industries. In case of small distance, you may find domestic flights. Not many flights are there. I can go with any of the flights. Air Asia is there, SpiceJet is there, Indigo is there, Air India is there, Indigo Airlines is there. So you have different alternatives. But when you have to travel to long distance, you don't have an option. If the option is there, well and good. But in the long distance, normally a rational customer, what a customer does is he or she quickly avails the services, unlike in domestic industry. So from the point of view of airlines themselves, the flying business is very competitive. It is increasing. There are hundreds, billions of airlines all trying to get bigger piece of the pie. Definitely everyone wants the best piece among the lot, the best profit. Global recessions have also meant cost cutting. Recessions are unpredictable for most airlines and industries and offer less travel in the part of the consumers. Depending on the nature of the airline business, threat of substitute can range from lower to a higher range or mid-range. For domestic, as we discussed, there is always an option of taking a car, bus, or a train. It may take a longer, but often this consideration is outweighed by the cost advantages of substitute goods. For example, if I want to travel from Delhi to Jaipur, I can go by air, I can go by road, I can go by train. It is my wish. There is also no switching cost, but in case of international airlines, threat of substitute is non-existent. On longer routes, a traveler needs to take a flight with no possible alternatives. If I have to travel from India to Australia, I'll take whichever flight is available. So, somewhat switching cost is definitely involved in case of threat of substitute goods. Now, what is five forces analysis for the auto industry? How the automobile industry moved from the financial year A to the B. Production of automobiles industry increased. During the financial year, passenger vehicle segment witnessed the fastest growth. It is actually using the Porter's five forces model. They have made a comparative analysis of the growth rate of the profitability rate of the automobile industry from year A to year B, and they have analyzed the data in a very systematic manner. Potter's five forces model. This is how we discuss today, students. Potter's five forces model of an automobile industry about its competitive rivalry. Rivalry means your enmity. Enmity means dushmani. There are lot many players, so obviously you become rivalry. You become enmity of one another, no matter what, how good players you are into the industry. Next is threat of new entrants. Threat of new entrants in case of particular automobile industry would be very less because it takes time, number one, number two, cost, number two, legal laws and regulations. There are other factors also which you need to take care. So threat of new entrants is quite low in case of automobile industry. The recent the Kia automobile industry came recently, but It's flourishing like anything, right? Next, bargaining power of customers. Here, customers have got high chances of bargaining. That is the reason high is being mentioned. Customers have got a range. They have got a different range. Which sort of customer, which sort of actually car do I want to buy? For example, if I have a budget of 10 lakhs, so whichever segment of car is available into the market, I can definitely go and avail the services. Next, next comes about the substitute products. Substitute products, the in case of automobile industry, it is quite low. If you have got a range for approx 9 lakh, 10 lakh car, then you would definitely go for Hyundai, Creta, Kia, Seltos, Kia, which is very upcoming. It has been recently launched in India. So you have got Kia, Seltos, and Hyundai Creta about 9 to 10 lakhs. So there are different substitute goods available, but then in case of automobile industry, substitute goods are quite low. Last but not the least, bargaining power of suppliers. Here, you cannot bargain because there is no direct touch in automobile industry. Whatever is being given to you, you have to accept that. There is not much choice involved. This involves the Potter's five forces of an automobile industry. Example, I hope it's clear. You can take any other example into the assignment of your choice.
That.
So I hope you are very much clear with Michelle Potter's five forces model. So just a break for another 30 seconds. Since already 30 minutes have already been over, now let's talk about the essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. What is strategy actually? Quoted by Michelle Potter. Innovation is the central issue in the economic prosperity. We can say that the company without a strategy is willing to try anything. So, sound strategy starts with having the right goal. Change actually brings opportunities students. On the other hand, change can be confusing at the same time. So, whatever strategy you choose, you have to choose it wisely. The essence of strategy is that you must set limits on what you are trying to accomplish. What is the essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. Moving ahead, Potter's five forces model of the automobile industry. Now we have taken that on an average. How Potter's five forces model looks like in case of an automobile industry. Now, if I categorize it into the passenger segment, that is the passenger cars. You have got Maruti Suzuki, which is the market leader, having a 52% share, Hyundai 21%, Honda 9%, and Tata Motors about 5.6%. Competitive library has increased post liberalization to a great extent, post 1991 LPG policy. The automobile industry is majorly commanded by domestic players with an immense market share in the country. The competition has turned more intense after the entry of foreign players like Volkswagen and Ford in low-priced hatchback segment. Foreign firms have aggravated the competition by changing their traditional designs and substituting it to cater Indian needs. Now, threat of new entrants as we discussed. We talked about economies of scale and capital requirement, brand identity, product differentiation, and customer switching cost. Other factors like access to raw material in case of automobile as well. Government is providing 100% FDI foreign direct investment in case of automobile industry. Substitute goods, automobile industry, you have got railways, airways, roadways. 90% people prefer two-wheeler, passenger car, passenger vehicle, car, jeep, taxis. Availability of close substitutes, switching cost can be high, can be low, and substitute price and value for a particular good. Next will be bargaining power of suppliers in case of the same industry. Number of suppliers are more than 500. Component manufacturers in the organized sector represented by ACMA, that is Automotive Component Components Manufacturer Association of India. There are 5,000 manufacturers in an organized sector. Import from nations with free trade agreement and low import duties: Japan, South Korea, Thailand, China, Malaysia, South Africa. Potter's forces for the bargaining power of buyers. Obviously, buyers knows everything. कहाँ से क्या चीज़ लेनी है. Now these days, what automobile industry is doing is they are providing a fully sanitized car due to the coronavirus issue. You have change in preference, income graph is there. Switching cost is high, low, depends. Brand loyalty is quite low. Launch of new models. So they are coming up with great innovation, being sanitized cars due to coronavirus. Now, how does the industry affect the attractiveness of automobile industry is looking like their profit and the future, present versus future. Internal rivalry, how about the internal enmity into the organization, can be high and will rise in the future also, because we discussed there is no threat to entry much, but entry can be made easily because already business is flourishing. Threat to entry, as we discussed, low, and in the future can be moderate due to the issues arising in the economy. Substitute goods are quite high in the present scenario. You have got various ranges. You want to buy Creta, you want to buy Hyundai, you want to buy Honda, you want to buy Maruti Suzuki, any other thing. Bargaining power of buyers. I'm a buyer. I've got a right. If you want to give this, fine. I'll go to the adjacent one, Netsa store. No Netsa, I'll go to Hyundai. So I've got a choice. Bargaining power of suppliers is less these days and can be moderate in the given future time period. That. Now, what are the strategies adopted by the automobile industry based on the analysis? How about the capacity launch? Capacity means considering low cost of production, prominent auto companies are increasing their production capacity in order to get more market share into the economy. Most of the automobile companies are eyeing India as an outsourcing hub. You can outsource your stuff. You need not manufacture, but you can get manufactured from somebody else. With a total investment of this much billion, Honda Motorcycle and Scooter India expanded its production of Activa in three variants at Ahmedabad plant. How does a launch of a new model takes place? Like newly launched cars, Volkswagen, Honda, Toyota, these are being coming up. Honda is planning to introduce bigger and premium segment market. This is how the launch of new models takes place. Now, marketing and advertisement. Obviously, once a product is ready, you need to market. For that, you need to create some strategies. Depending on the profit advertisements, every firm has got different ideology. The idea is to make the customers more brand conscious. You have to, what the main nutshell it says is advertisement and media marketing, you have to portray yourself, you have to set an image into the mindset of the customers so that they actually buy your product, because customers are the king of the market. Their needs and wants are to be taken care of. This is giving the firms differential advantage. Success today lies in structuring and restructuring of strategies. Strategies need to be changed as and when required. Catering to the Indian needs. We are in Indian market, you have to look for the Indian needs. Indian boasts a large population of middle class people. So as per the middle class people, you have to create a product and then you have to alter the strategies further on. Now, importance of Potter's five forces model. We all know what Potter's five forces model are, what are different factors. We also studied how automobile industry has created the Potter's five forces model and has revamped its strategies. Now, how is the relevance of Potter's five forces model in the current competitive scenario? Moving forward, what is the strategy used? What strategy to use? First of all, we'll think which strategy is to be used. What is our main mission? Number one. Next step would be basic knowledge of business strategy. It is not like any day. Rome was not built in a day, my dear students. It takes time. You need to collect some basic knowledge of the business strategy. So you need to have little nuances, knowledge, and business strategy that would influence the decision making. Third step would be industry analysis. How do you analyze your industry? The relevance, the importance, what are the players, structure, and the future changes. Industry structure and future changes. Next would be step 4, that is the strategies. Strategies actually include the competitive advantage, what extra USP do you have, cost advantage, marketing dominance, new product development, if you have created any new product using different stages, idea screening, idea generation, testing, hypothesis, everything, and then you create a product, contraction, diversification strategies, price leadership, global re engineering strategies, downsizing, and restructuring strategies. Last but not the least comes measure and monitor strategy effectiveness. How effective your strategy is. Does it need some improvisation? If yes, go ahead, take the corrective steps. If not, carry on the same strategy. But yes, you need to improvise. We are living in a very dynamic world which is changing every day. So you need to take care of your strategies, whatever you are implementing. How to use the tools. We now analyze the Potter's Five Forces framework is used to analyze the industry's competitive forces and to shape the organization's strategy. Step 1 is to gather the information on each of these five forces, get the information, make an analysis, on the basis of analysis, display the results on the diagram, and then formulate strategies on the based on the conclusions which are derived. Now, we navigate the model development. It is beneficial for a company working on Potter's five force analysis to maintain an analytical framework of mind how the process begins. Now, before doing that, understand the goals of the analysis. What are we doing it? What are the expectations are we expecting? What is the future scope of this analysis? Allow open, honest brainstorming. Give the ideas, discuss upon the ideas, prepare the questions. This is to be done before implementation of a strategy. During the implementation phase, focus on the future. You need to look after the future. Do not focus on what could have been done. Don't go into the past. Unfortunately, we keep on thinking we could have done this. But yes, it's the time, need of the hour to think for the present and the future. Analyze the positives and the negatives. Find out the limitation, drawbacks. Be open to new ideas and possibilities. Attract the new ideas. After implementation of the strategy, identify lessons learned. What were the loopholes? What were the advantages? Positive and negative. And best practice, apply that. Understand whether the analysis had a required impact or not. Follow the implementation plan. Record all the information what you have analyzed in the future decision making. So this is how the process goes on before, during and after the implementation phase of the model. Moving ahead, last but not the least topic for the day is limitations. Potter's model doesn't clearly touch on these forces. It doesn't have an impact, doesn't know how what will happen when a Potter's five forces would be implemented in case of IT sector, unstable economy, government, globalization, customers' expectations, no idea, organization, reinvention, God knows, and environmental conditions. So this is everything about Potter's five forces model. For any queries, students, you're most welcome